Hello, everybody. We're going to get started in 10 minutes, so if you haven't had a chance to grab some lunch, please do. 10 minutes, yeah. Grab some lunch at the buffet on either side, and we'll get started in 10 minutes. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everybody. Hello, good afternoon. It's wonderful to be here together today for one of the most exciting events in Washington, D.C. You can imagine, maybe that sounds like a oxymoron, exciting events, Washington, D.C., but this is not really about Washington, D.C., it's about America. I'm Dan Porterfield, I'm the CEO of the Aspen Institute, and we are a nonprofit organization that works in many ways and places to support people who are driving change that really matters for our country and for our world. And we do that in a range of areas, from educational excellence at the pre-college level, to public health, to leadership development across all sectors, to empowering Native American youth, opportunity youth, and so much more. And the work that's happening here in the College Excellence Program is both exemplary, truly remarkable leadership by our College Excellence team, and I hope representative of the quality of work that we strive to do in partnership with others all around the country. The Aspen Institute doesn't do anything alone, literally zero. We are our partners, and it gives us a great deal of pride to be partnering with all of you and the communities that you represent, the institutions that you support and lead. We're so grateful to our co-chairs who helped to make this possible. Thank you, Michael and Jane. We are so grateful to our funder community that makes this possible, and so grateful to the intellectual and practical leadership of Josh Weiner and his team. And then, of course, we're so grateful to the work that all of you do to make your communities in this country an even better place. This prize has taken off. It's really a model of leadership for anybody who wants to help great institutions evolve to meet changing needs. And I think that Josh is the social entrepreneur, if you will, who came up with a realization that it would be possible to develop a process. I don't want to call it a competition or a prize. It's not a competition. It's a prize, but it's so much more than a prize. A framework and a community where best practices could be shared, where we could recognize transformational leadership in really important and sometimes very hard work of aligning curricula with job opportunities, of facilitating strategies for dual enrollment so that high schools and colleges can partner in service of students, in really working through how to quicken the pace to degree, or how to launch students even more effectively into family-sustaining jobs, or to successful transfer to four-year institutions with a minimum, if any, of credit loss. And what Josh and his team, I think, have been able to do, I hope you feel this way, is to support the body of practice that leads to greater and greater results in those areas, and probably others, and that then builds a new narrative about the critical role that community colleges play, and about the excellence with which leading community colleges are playing that role. It wasn't that long ago that there was, if I remember right, a different narrative about community colleges. And there's more than 1,000 institutions. Maybe no single narrative captures it all, but this narrative, which combines deeds and words, actions and messages, is galvanizing support all across the country for greater investment in this sector, for students having greater confidence that this is the sector for them, in funders realizing that an investment in these institutions is an investment in communities, in businesses, in the American people. So we are so proud to partner with all of you on this work, and we're so proud of what the College Excellence Program does and represents. As in addition to the work, I again believe that Josh and his team are social entrepreneurs and are examples for people working in other sectors that are connected to our sector, whether it's health or economic development, all really interwoven in a fabric that's about the future of the country. So we know that nearly half of American undergraduates begin their journey in a community college. And we know that so many women and men come back to community colleges to improve career options and to intensify the lives they are seeking to live. America has countless natural assets, but our greatest natural asset is our people. The institutions that invest in our people and the many cultures and communities and identities they comprise are doing the most important work in this country. If we look at the economy, just from a little bit of a distance view, we look at it, there are at least three really significant interrelated challenges for which community colleges are a major part of the solution. First, tens of millions of people, if not more, are worrying that they and their children will not be able to find those good family-sustaining jobs, the ones that come with health insurance and access to quality child care, that are the foundation of a life of upward mobility and of fulfillment. America has to offer that pathway to prosperity, and prosperity isn't just the money, it's all the good things that come with economic security and a life in the social and political mainstream. That's one challenge. A second challenge is that a huge number of employers today, you know better than me, are lamenting what they perceive to be the lack of workers and are worried about the sustainability of regional enterprises, or regional economies in which their enterprises are situated. And so you then have a third challenge, which is maybe to some extent one that economic planners, governors, I hope, federal leaders are thinking about, which is that we're living in a moment of rapidly accelerating tech-fueled pace of change. The pace of change is quickening and quickening and quickening, and with ChatGPT and all other forms of artificial intelligence, it's about to take another exponential leap, like a rocket ship going into a different warp speed. And people rightly worry, are today's jobs and businesses simply going to fizzle away as Automation Nation takes over and puts human intelligence on the sidelines? We can't have that happen. So a universally effective community college sector, one that is deeply connected to both the private sector and to the four-year college sector, one that is supported with ample, if not robust, public and private funding, is the answer to all those challenges, to helping workers have the education that gives them usable skills today, yes, but also the intellectual foundation to be able to upskill tomorrow when the job they start in is disruptive. Secondly, it's community colleges that can help our business community find the employees who have the agility and the creativity to change as their enterprises change, and they must change, so that the businesses themselves can evolve to meet the challenges of disruption, but sometimes to drive it. And that will happen because, in part, who are their employees? And then third, a universally effective community college sector, robustly supported by both the private sector and the public sector, will then contribute to a larger American narrative about how we adapt to the great opportunities provided by technological change and move the country forward, riding that wave, not engulfed by it. That's been actually the story of the 20th century in America, that the power of American education at the K through 12 level and at the college level gave our population the ability to optimize our response to the technological changes that defined the post-war era all the way through the early part of the 21st century. That was our critical advantage, that our country, because our people were better prepared, more ready to compete and grow and develop with every technological shift of those decades. But now the shifts are coming faster. And so what resource do we have? The community college sector. It may be our greatest resource, given those three challenges. And I don't think I'm just giving voice to hope when I say those things, because we have 10 schools here who are hope in action, hope in human form, hope in institutional form, because you're doing it. Not too long ago, I think it's an occupational hazard of my job. I can't remember what city I was in, but I was traveling somewhere, and I got into an Uber. And this nice young man who was clearly an immigrant was driving it. And so I started talking to him and asked him, how'd you get here? What's your family story? And he shared with me that he was an immigrant from South Korea. And he talked about coming to America, his mom bringing him, why it mattered. I said, well, so tell me more. What are you doing? He's driving an Uber and going to a community college. And I said to him, well, why are you driving an Uber for this job? He said, well, I got into an Uber. The first time I got into it, I called it from my phone, and it picked me up, and I got in the back seat. And I felt like I was living in the future. I was living in the future at that moment when I stepped into that car. And it took me where I wanted to go. That's what my school is doing. My school is living in the future, preparing me to be in the future. I'm already in the future at my school. Well, that's what you are. You are the future, driving the future, giving our students the opportunity to develop themselves in that cutting edge way where they feel they are getting ahead. They are living in the future as they learn in the present. So we thank you for that so much. It's incredibly, incredibly inspiring. And I hope that today's recognition ceremony, and more importantly, the work you did that brought you here, and the work you'll do together because you were here, continues that narrative, which we're all working on together, that by investing in your institutions and their excellence, which is evolving, because you're living in the future, we are supporting millions of students of many ages and many backgrounds who will drive and create an American future that's even better than the one that brought us here today. So thank you all for being a part of this work. And now it's my pleasure to welcome Pascal Charlotte, who is the Managing Director of the Aspen College Excellence Program and a former community college president herself, to kick off today's program. Thank you, Pascal.
Well, Dan has riled us up. Let's go. It is such a pleasure to be here with you, and welcome, welcome, welcome. Today is a special day because today we get to elevate excellence in a sector that doesn't always get the spotlight. And we'd like to start by acknowledging those affiliated with the top 10 finalists to stand and be recognized for this outstanding achievement. Please stand, our top 10 finalists, if you are affiliated with these institutions. Yes. Thank you. You may now be seated as I transition into my mom and put on my glasses. Later in the program, you're going to hear about each particular institution, but I'd like to start and pick off where Dan left off, which is, what is the purpose of the prize? Why are we here? And what is underneath the work that we're elevating in our conversations today? Since 2011, the Aspen Prize has recognized over 41 institutions who've been among the top 10 finalists. Each exemplifies excellence by meeting the needs of the community in truly impactful ways. They include amazing employer partnerships that lead students to great jobs, incredible advising systems that dramatically increase graduation rates, and outstanding transfer partnerships that lead to more students earning bachelor's degrees. The College Excellence Program recognizes these institutions by awarding the prize, and we do it for several reasons, and Dan alluded to some of them. The first is to elevate excellence by recognizing the senior leaders, boards, faculty, staff, and community partners who have done the work to transform their institutions to better serve students and the community. And we do this through a process that is fairly comprehensive and rigorous. And it's important for you to understand this process because this is a very well-deserved recognition. It starts with a data analysis of student success outcomes in multiple domains. We look at graduation rates, transfer rates, bachelor's attainment, and even how much students earn after graduating. We bring in experts from the field to evaluate applications. Every cycle, we receive over 100 applications, and experts review the applications and the data in order to provide scores that lead us to the top 10 finalists. Once we know the top 10 finalists, we assemble teams that actually go to visit campuses during a 2-day process that involves interviews, and I think some of you are still recovering from that process, a meeting with your faculty, staff, administrators, and community partners. And finally, an independent jury is convened to review both the quantitative and qualitative data in order to make a final selection. So in addition to elevating excellence, the second purpose of the prize is to advance a holistic definition of student success. This definition takes into consideration access to college, success in college, and success after college, with the important component that equity is kept top of mind in all of these phases. The third purpose of the prize is to lift up and share replicable practices. We use what we learned from the first part of the prize, the data, the application, and the analysis once we visit the campuses, plus the holistic definition of student success. We coupled those two pieces in order to develop tools and replicate the proven practices so others in the field can benefit. And this is the piece that Dan was alluding to. We are undergirding and supporting the evolution of the field. And it's because of your work that we can continue to identify those practices. What this means for our 2-year college portfolio is that this information informs our research and we turn it into curriculum for our leadership and fellowship programs that relate to presidents, chancellors, senior teams, and boards. In our 4-year portfolio with colleges and universities, we use this information in 2 specific programs. The American Talent Initiative, which consists of 125 of the nation's top colleges and universities with the highest graduation rates. ATI seeks to substantially expand access and opportunity for low and moderate income students through the transfer process. We share what we learn to help ATI institutions be more effective in serving those students. The other program is the Transfer Intensive. This is a partnership between CEP and the American Association of State Colleges and Universities. It is designed to accelerate transfer reform by bringing together teams. A community college will identify a transfer partner, and together they work for a year with the support of the CEP program in order to accelerate transfer reform in their community. To date, we have worked with over 70 institutions. And the fourth reason for the prize, and it's the one we want to elevate in this particular program, it's the hope message Dan talked about. We want institutions all across the country to believe that change is possible, and change that will lead to higher levels of student success. Leading a college campus has become one of the most challenging jobs in America today. We know on campus there is a sense of fatigue. COVID did a number on all of us. But on campus, with the communities that you serve, we know that hope right now is kind of hard to generate. And as partners in this process with you, we are bringing this conversation live for people to be reminded that change is possible. And it's possible in rural contexts, urban contexts, whether you're large, whether you're small, if you've been a president for 2 minutes or 20 years. Change is really possible, and you'll hear from institutions that have been able to enact that change. But to bring that message of hope and optimism, we have other voices that we're bringing to you in this conversation. You're going to hear from students who choose to enroll at community colleges because they believe you can help them to change their lives. You'll hear from one of our key field partners from AACC, who's been a champion for community colleges and supporting the field to work to graduate more students for decades. You'll also hear from our jury, prize, co-chair rock stars, who not only have been key in this process, but who represent critical partnerships that are necessary to move the field forward. And last but certainly not least, you're going to hear from funders who invest in talent development and economic mobility with a particular appreciation and respect for the work the community college sector does for the populations that we serve. And at this time, we're going to start with the Joyce Foundation, which is actually the originator of the Aspen Prize. You'll hear from its president, Ellen Aberdeen, who will speak about the power of prizes to move a sector. She will be followed by Amy Girardi of the Ascendium, who will hone in on the importance of post-graduation success. Please join me in welcoming Ellen to the podium.
So I'm Ellen Alberding, and I'm president of the Joyce Foundation. We're based in Chicago, and we have a long-standing interest in economic mobility. And one of the key drivers of economic mobility in our country is obviously the people in this room and community colleges in general. I have a bunch of thank yous, and then I want to get to something personal. First, thanks to Dan Porterfield for setting us up with such a high-level understanding of why what you do is so important. I want to give a shout-out to Emily Goldman, who is our higher ed expert. Where's Emily? Right here at the Joyce Foundation. She's new to our organization and is a superstar. We're thrilled to have her. I'm sure you'll all be working with her one way or another. You folks at Aspen, pay attention. One of the best hiring decisions I've ever made, although we didn't technically hire Josh Weiner, but once we identified Josh as the potential leader of the Aspen Prize, we knew we were in for a really successful ride. Josh is really a brilliant leader and one of the best connectors of ideas that I've ever encountered, and has built this prize from an idea to this institution that Pascal just described. And she describes it as if it's something that, has existed forever. And in fact, not really. It was kind of an idea that we at the foundation had that, like, prizes, can move a sector. And what sector could really use some movement? Community colleges. And we had a little suitcase of ideas that we trotted around the Obama administration trying to find, who would be really interested in supporting this. We had great luck. The administration was really interested, and we also had great luck raising money from 3 other funders, several of whom I think are still around. Josh, yeah, I won't name names because I'll probably get it wrong. But so this whole effort started really small. And what's so exciting for me and so rewarding for me is to hear how Dan describes the impact, how Pascal describes both the impact of the prize, but also what it's grown into, the whole field, the whole sector. So I'm super proud that we had anything to do with this, and I really appreciate a moment at the mic. Now I have 2 personal comments. One is, when I was kind of a ne'er-do-well, a high school senior, and really disconnected from school, one of the things that somebody pushed me into was going to the local community college. Now, as you can tell, this was a long time ago. It was before, dual credit, dual enrollment was ever a thing. But by participating, taking classes at Rockland Community College, it set me up for both engagement, brain-wise, all of a sudden I was like, oh, this stuff is really interesting. And it prepared me to go to an extremely competitive university where a lot of the students were coming from, fancy schools where they had learned stuff, which my own fault, really probably hadn't. done so as well as I could have. And my experience and participation in a community college was a life changer for me. So, there's a lot of different kinds of students at community colleges, and I'm one of them. The other personal thing is that I was a trustee of the City Colleges of Chicago, which is a very large system with 7 campuses. And so through that experience, which was about 6 years, I think it felt like 60, I really, really understand what each of you has struggled with in terms of finances and enrollment and faculty and probably trustees, political environment. It's so complex what you're trying to do, and the excellence that's represented in this room, I can't say enough of how proud I am of each of the 10 finalists, and also a deep understanding of the difficulty of moving these institutions forward. So I just wanted to acknowledge that. Did you know that President Obama called this prize the Oscars for community colleges? He had a way with words. I thought that was pretty good. So I do think the Aspen Prize has succeeded beyond our wildest dreams at setting the standards for excellence in community college systems. And I talked to a few of you last night at the reception, which, by the way, was beautiful, and what a great evening and a great spot. And several people independently said, we are striving to reach the standards that these mean people at Aspen have set up for us. And it is moving the system. So I just want to thank each of you and congratulate each of you, and thank Josh and his fantastic team for doing such a wonderful job. And with that, I'll hand it over to Amy Girardi. So thank you all. Here's Amy.
Okay, so don't be alarmed by the orange notebook. It does not indicate my remarks will be long. But I'm Amy Girardi from the Ascendium Education Philanthropy Group. And we're a foundation based in Madison, Wisconsin. And so shout out to the Madison College in the running. But I just wanted to take a few moments to say we are delighted to be here. There aren't that many chances in our sector to do some celebration, and so this feels unique. So congratulations to the finalists. And I just wanted to say that Ascendium is particularly excited about this round of the prize. We love the evolution in the metrics. We are excited about the emphasis in post-graduation outcomes, the sort of nod to the idea that this is the beginning of a learner's journey in economic mobility. And we also want to say that we're particularly excited about the rural institutions that are in the running for this prize. Ascendium is particularly focused on low-income learners, but we also have a special place in our heart for rural institutions. And our thinking is that rural institutions use their smallness as a strength, which we know from the Aspen work. We also know that rural institutions really do have a place that sort of pulls the gravitational pull towards them in their communities. They are hubs. And that might be true about a lot of institutions, but its influence is felt, I think, larger in these urban places. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Pascal. Thank you.
Thank you, Ellen and Amy. We appreciate your deep commitment to these big ideas, which is really helping to move the sector forward. Often we talk about student success in terms of metrics, and while the data is important, it's not the whole story. To students, the value comes from the impact on their personal lives and how education has changed their journeys. So it's about their ability to achieve their goals because they attended our institutions. Let's hear from a few students from your top 10 institutions who remind us why this work really matters.
I first learned about OSOS back in and around 2020. That really put me on a path to think about what I really wanted to do with my life and get my career started.
Going to the continuing education department was a big choice for me because at the time I was not in school. I had dropped out and I didn't know if I could really pursue my education still.
All of the teachers provide so much help to the students, and failure is not an option.
Professor Erica Malone was one of the best anatomy teachers that I could ever ask for. I will never forget how much dedication she had to helping us understand the concepts.
My favorite instructor here has to be Paul Cutting from the agribusiness course. He taught more than just what the material had to offer. He taught things about life and stuff that I still use to this day.
My favorite teacher helped me see that I could actually do well in math. He would always use real-life scenarios or real-life examples that just made the math problems click.
The one who stands out the most, I believe, was Professor Ramsey, one of my first professors. Her warmth and compassion and support helped me not give up, helped me stay the course. And now I'm about to graduate.
Although I had no one to show me what life was like in the United States, the courses that I have taken have helped me find my purpose in the power of advocacy and my passion of helping others.
I take a 1 hour, 20-minute transit every day to get here. And even though that class was 9 a.m. in the morning, I would still show up and I'd be excited to attend her class.
And I am just really excited about, eventually making my own stamp on the world and really just helping people.
These voices represent students from all over the country. I was going to ask you to give a round of applause, but you're ahead of me. So speaking of excellence, I skipped the other part. We have a partner who has been leading exceptional work, touching hundreds of community college presidents and thousands of students over decades. Dr. Walter Bumpus has been president and CEO of the American Association of Community Colleges since 2010. He has led AACC to boldly advance student success across our nation in many ways. I just want to name two key accomplishments. Issuing Reclaiming the American Dream, Community Colleges and the Nature's Future was a seminal report that offered a framework to redesign community colleges and prepare students for the changing workforce. Dr. Bumpus also spearheaded very early on guided pathways through the AACC Pathways Project, focused on building capacity for community colleges to design and implement structured academic and career pathways for all students. And even though he's Dr. Walter Bumpus to the rest of the world, to CEP, he is affectionately known as Walter. Dr. Bumpus contributed to the design of the Aspen Prize in the early years by providing critical data expertise and thought partnership to land on the key metrics that continues to be used to identify the 150 eligible colleges today. In fact, in 2009, when the first prize was announced at the White House, Walter was there. The alignment with AACC is a great example of how associations can really move the field forward in partnership with you to get the job done. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Bumpus to say a few words.
Pascal, thank you for that very kind introduction. Good afternoon, colleagues. It's good to see all of you here. Like someone said earlier, last night's reception was just stellar. And how about a hand for the College Excellence Program and their receptions last night? I got one short story to tell about the reception, and I didn't take any pictures or anything, so it'll be quick. I ran into a group of folks whose names will stay unknown at this point, and I congratulated them. I said, congratulations to you and your district, and You guys ought to feel really good about this prize, regardless of the outcome tomorrow. It's just significant for you and your district to be recognized. He said, Walter, I think you played athletics, didn't you? I said, yeah. He said, did you ever feel good about participating, or did you want to win? I said, I got your point. I said, if I were in your position right now, I'd probably be saying the same thing. I want to kick butt tomorrow, you know. I want to take the prize home for sure. But Josh, the first thing I want to do this afternoon is, on behalf of AACC, our board, and our staff, congratulate you and your college excellence team and all those folks affiliated with your team, the visits and everything else, for the work you guys are doing, and culminating in today's recognition. What a great job. Congratulations to you all. I was thinking about this, I guess maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago, when you asked me if I might make a few comments, and I started talking with some of my staff about some of the most transformative work that's been done in the field over the last 50 years. And I have to say that the majority of the folks I talk with on my staff, as well as others like Kay McClenny, Terry O'Banion, John Roosh, and others, just about everybody agreed. Karen Stout and Karen was over here. There she is, Karen Stout and ATD, and Josh and the College Excellence Prize are probably the most significant transformations we've had in that last 50-year period. And I've been working in all 50 of those years, Josh, I can tell you that. And I can say this here, it's not easy work. It's not easy work at all. And I ran into a few faculty members last night, and I was talking with them. In my opinion, work of the president is maybe challenging at times, but we get a chance to take all the credit and take bows. Leaders, the VPs and your deans and faculty counselors and everybody gets a little bit of credit. But the hardest work, in my opinion, is in the classroom. And truthfully, they don't get the kind of recognition they deserve. And I'm so glad to see that you're recognizing teams of people, and I think that is so appropriate. There are so many other things I could say, but the one thing I learned from Dr. Gretchen sitting up here on the front row is that in many ways our innovations, and the outcomes have not caught up with our innovations. And I was asked to say a little bit about my thoughts about the future. I'm encouraged. In fact, I'm optimistic about the future, and I heard Pascal talking about the fact that we were recognizing both rural and urban institutions, and basically all institutions. I think that's terrific. But when you think about the diversity of our colleges, the diversity of our students, and now the focus that we all have on equity, I think we start to combine the college focus on excellence with the equity-mindedness that we have, that the future is very bright. And so I want to salute you and the College Excellence Program for everything that you're doing. I want to salute every one of the college finalists that are here today. I've got one of my former students in here, one of my colleagues that I worked with for years. So not only do I want to salute the leaders, but most importantly, I hope we can all salute those students, because that's where the difference is being made. So how about a hand for these programs? And before I sit down, I also want to salute one of my board members, Russell Lowry Hart's one of my board members. So congratulations to all of you. Russell, good luck.
Thank you, Walter. And thank you for reminding us to focus on what really matters. When we talk about the combination of excellence and equity, we think ways to advance that message includes increasing economic inclusion, closing the racial wealth gap, and strengthening urban communities. You will now hear from two funders who invest in community colleges because they see education as a powerful tool to advance these goals. Let's welcome Jenny Sparandara from J.P. Morgan Chase to say a few words, followed by Carolyn Altman-Smith from Kreisky.
Thank you so much. It's a real pleasure and an honor to be here at the Oscars. I've never been before. really the only Oscars I'm interested in, to be honest. I'm just going to share a couple of words, and I just have to say, it's such a delight to be following Dr. Bumfus, because my introduction to community colleges was as a trustee as part of a coup well before I joined JP Morgan, and I was working in Philadelphia at the time. I was a newly minted trustee, and along with a set of other folks, we were trying to figure out exactly what that meant and how we could play a productive role, because Community College of Philadelphia is kind of like the place for economic opportunity. And we heard how much leadership mattered. We thought about whether we could steal Karen Stout from her institution. But the prize was held up as like this thing on the hill that maybe we could aim for one day. So to be here, maybe a decade and so later is really exciting. I just want to share a little bit about why JP Morgan is invested in this work. And as was said, yes, we come to this through our corporate responsibility work. That's where I'm based. But it's because of who JP Morgan Chase is at its core, which is an employer. And frankly, an organization that recognizes the value that talent brings to our own success and well-being, who hears that reiterated and underscored by our clients day in and day out. And when we were sort of working to organize our next commitment to workforce development and jobs and skills, as we call it, in 2018, we were kind of looking at where we had been funding in the past, and we realized it was community colleges. We were looking to support really great job training, employer-driven career pathways. We didn't have a focus on community colleges per se, but in the communities where we do this work across the United States, they were the organization of focus, and that's not surprising to the people in this room. But we also knew that they weren't all created equally, and that there were some communities where their institutions weren't driving the kinds of impact and success that I think we're so excited to celebrate today. So we started meeting with Josh and others to think about, could we play a productive role in really accelerating the development of the field, impact in the field. And Dan Porterfeld helped kick off that commitment in 2019. We made community colleges a central piece of that investment. And I'll just say that before we did that, I had to go and present to the operating committee of the firm to say what we plan to do philanthropically. I was very nervous. It's all the C-suite. And I'm walking through why we think community colleges should be a core part of our strategy. And one of the CEOs who incredibly commercially minded and really known to be tough, kind of leaned over to me and he goes, "Smart." And we agree. We think this has been a really smart investment. We're really thrilled to be behind the work that you're doing and excited for all that is to come. I want to say a big thank you to our colleagues at the Aspen Institute, but importantly to all of the work that you all are doing day in and day out. We're really proud to stand behind it and to stand with you. So thank you very much and congratulations to everyone.
Hello, everyone. My name is Caroline Altman-Smith. I'm the Deputy Director of Education at the Kresge Foundation in Detroit. It is a delight to be here, as we said, on a real day of celebration. It is graduation season, so I know everyone will be planning wonderful celebratory events back in your towns on campus, and this is really a special day on the calendar when it comes around and we get a chance to celebrate the work of 10 such extraordinary institutions and the journeys that they have taken to be here today. At Kresge, 15 years ago, we started funding community colleges for the first time. And in our almost 100-year history as a foundation, community colleges had been excluded from funding. We got a new president, got a new team in place, and I'm really proud to say that we've never looked back. It's become an incredibly important body of work for us, a lot to be proud of in terms of the investments that we've supported around the country, including many folks in this room. And just so delighted to look out and see all the partners in this room who've helped us all get to where we are today. When we think about the contributions of AACC and Achieving the Dream, and the many folks that have been toiling in the vineyards of student success for the past many decades, it's just really inspiring. When you do think back almost 2 decades ago, the conversation in the community college sector around student success reform was so centered on developmental education reform and maybe some advising, but lots about pedagogy, lots about curriculum. And when we think about, I think, the evolution of the mantle that leaders of community colleges have taken on now to really think about not just what success in the classroom looks like, but what success as institutions look like in terms of really being an engine of socioeconomic mobility. All of the colleges in this room, I think, embody that. The strong community partnerships that you've built, obviously the investments you have made in the classroom around learning, the partnerships you've built with employers, focusing on transfer pathways for students that want to go on and earn that 4-year degree, focusing on a sense of accountability for labor market outcomes for what comes next for students. You all are really the shining lights, and I just want to reaffirm that all of us in this room want to help lift you up, and we also recommit ourselves to the work, because there's still 1,100 other colleges out there too that will be looking to you, learning from you, inspired by you, as we all are. So we are here together in this stunningly beautiful day in DC. I know you can't tell because there aren't any windows, but it's really nice outside. So just to take a breath together, although not too deep a breath because there's also a lot of pollen outside, but just a moment to just celebrate where we are and how far you've come, and just wish all of the finalists the best, and know we're rooting for you, and we really appreciate what you do for your students and what you do for our country. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Jenny and Carolyn. We're almost there. I know you guys are just done with me. You just want to know the results. I'm getting there. It's the build-up. It's the build-up. But before we pivot to the main event, we do want to give our students one more opportunity to be heard. And shortly after the students, you will hear from Josh Weiner, who will take us to the finish line. So with that, we'll turn it over to our students.
What I love about San Jack was that I was given an opportunity to make a career pivot later in my life.
I love Amarillo College because of the student services that they offer. I love Imperial Valley College because of the great opportunities that it has given me to discover and achieve my own definition of success. I love NCC because they're there for me. They're there for a total stranger. Not a total stranger anymore. I'm not a total stranger. You guys see me every day.
I had a lot of insecurities starting school for the first time in my 50s, but all of those just kind of melted away once I stepped on campus.
One of the main things that I love about Ostos is just everyone's willingness to help. I've never had pleasant interaction with anyone.
Anyone from anywhere can come here and get the education they deserve. And the people here are so passionate and will help you along the way.
The African American Male Education Network and Development Club, which is one of the biggest opportunities and blessings that I've been able to come in contact here at Moorpark College.
The connection you make with teachers and staff to help you achieve your goals that otherwise are almost near impossible to achieve on your own. There's so much effort Southwest Tech puts into their students.
The self-efficacy and all of the things that I learned at SVSCC has really helped me in my business. And I believe that I'm going to be much more successful as I move on to a 4-year college.
I'm transferring with a psychology major, and I'm using that as a pre-medicine major because I eventually want to go to med school.
Our college has helped me work towards my goal, not only by offering the associate's degree, but by offering the business prerequisites that I need to take in order to transfer to Florida International University.
I'm really, really excited about the prospects. In the next 5 years or so, I hope to be working with an organization that gives back to the community.
The best thing that has actually come out of my experience with San Jack was the networking, all of the assistance that I had with connections to someone in the industry. So I am super grateful for that. And every day that I go in to work, I love it. So thanks to Sanjay.
We will get to the announcements in just a moment, but I have a few words I wanted to say. I do want to thank folks from the Department of Education. James Qualley, Undersecretary, came and met with the presidents, and thanks to the presidents of the 10 finalists for coming early and having a great conversation with him. To Dan, Walter, to our partner Karen Stout, to our partners NCII that have been helpful throughout this entire process. Thank you all. So you've all heard about this Oscars idea, right? It all started in 2015. I got a call from the White House, and apparently the president had been to 49 states, not been to South Dakota. Many people, when they list the states they haven't been to, that comes up. It's a small state with not, I think there are more people in Washington, D.C. proper than the state of South Dakota. And he said, we were sitting around and we were wondering where we could go in South Dakota. Isn't one of those Aspen Prize finalists in South Dakota? I said, yeah, Lake Area Tech, they're terrific. And he said, do you think it would be okay if the president went and gave the commencement speech there? Well, I had been there the year before, and I thought, well, this is a second choice, not too bad. So it was there that he said that this college was a finalist for the prize. They actually won subsequently. No correlation, no connection between those events. But he, it was there that he called it the Oscars for gay community colleges. And as I was preparing today, I was wondering, this is what nerds do, I was wondering whether it really is the Oscars. And so I did what any self-respecting researcher would do. I got on the web and I went to ChatGPT. And I said, please compare the Aspen Prize with the Oscar for Best Picture, right? And I'm going to quote, by the way, can you lose points for plagiarizing ChatGPT? This is all the professors out there, this is an interesting question. But I'm going to quote so I don't get accused by any of the great faculty out there who are watching this of plagiarism. So the first was criteria for selection. The Aspen Prize evaluates community colleges based on student success, degree and certificate completion, employment and earnings outcomes, and equity outcomes, among other factors. Pretty good, right? In contrast, the Academy Awards for Best Picture is awarded based on a variety of factors: quality of acting, directing, writing, cinematography, etc. Okay, so maybe the president was right. So far, so good, right? Multiple factors, different factors, but sounds like it's the Oscars. Impact on the recipient, item number 2. Winning the Aspen Prize can have a significant impact on a community college, including increased visibility, improved reputation, and additional funding. Sounds about right. Winning the Academy Award for Best Picture can lead to increased box office revenue, critical acclaim, and career opportunities for the filmmakers involved. Again, I think the president had it right, right? 2 for 2. These are direct quotes. ChatGPT. By the way, put yourself into ChatGPT. It turns out I went to Yale and Harvard. Not true, according to ChatGPT. So then the process of selection. This is where they say that the Aspen Prize uses rigorous evaluation process that includes data analysis, site visits, and expert review to select a winner, and basically that the Oscars is a vote. All right, so there's a big difference. And we heard a little bit about the rigor earlier. I'm not going to go through all of that. But here's the other difference, is that this is the difference between the Aspen Prize and AI. And that is that you can't plug all this stuff into a computer and have it spit out an answer. You heard about Pascal talked about all the processes we went through. So if we can go to the slides here, I just want to acknowledge all the people who are engaged in this. This is a deeply human endeavor. So the first round, we have a data metrics advisory panel. Here they are. You will see people in this room. Thank you all for your hard work. Just so you know, that is a formula that every year we ask what are the best data out there, identify 150 colleges eligible to apply. So thank you. Please join me in thanking this group. So next up, we get a whole bunch of applications. The vast majority, 70 to 75%, apply. And then this group reads and they send in more data, and they send in applications. And this is the group that reads those applications And by the time we get down to the final 25, they're read by 7 of these folks, voted on, and they get together and they make the decision on the 10 finalists. And you can see these are great experts in workforce and higher ed. Join me in thanking this group of folks for this. So then we come and do site visits, and here is the group of site visitors. And we have partners, by the way, at each of these levels. The National Center for Higher Education Management Systems, the National Center for Inquiry and Improvement are partners in much of this work. This is the group that does the site visits and comes up with the insights to ask the questions, how did you get to these data? And tell us about the gaps. Tell us about where you're not strong and what you're doing to improve those things. Please join me in thanking this group. And then finally, we have an independent prize jury. Go back one step. This is the group through all of these processes that does the work. So next time we go through this, Anne, can we just search and replace Josh with these people? Because my name was mentioned way too many times. But these are the people who really are doing the work. These are the folks, and particularly I want to recognize Rebecca Lavinson and Ben Barrett, who are dedicating 20 months of their life to this as their primary project. And it is remarkable what they do on the data side, on the project management side, on the writing and editing side. These folks are simply remarkable in the work they do. Please join me in thanking them. And then finally, and we're going to get to a moment, to the prize jury, which is an independent group of really remarkable folks. Journalists, experts in higher ed, we've got folks from industry, folks who come from politics and from the four-year sector. Please join me in thanking the prize jury for their work. So that really brings me to the fourth thing that wasn't in ChatGPT. And that is the difference between the Academy. They missed the main point. Movies are about entertainment, right? Maybe they get us thinking differently. For those of you who say a movie changed my life, okay. I guarantee you they didn't change lives the way these institutions did. Community colleges are about changing lives. And today you're going to hear now, right after me, about each of the 10 finalist colleges and then finally the winner of the Aspen Prize. What does it mean to change lives, and what does it mean to strengthen communities? Well, first, it does mean access. It means providing access to students that need the support the most. Students whose options, if they don't come to community colleges, are often to go to a for-profit institution that may not serve them as well, or to not go at all, to not come to college at all. And this is really powerful. Many community college students are rightly making a choice to go to these community colleges instead of going to the four-year institution. So to be clear, but the commitment to access is to make sure that those who wouldn't go otherwise, both in K-12 and adults, are coming to higher ed. And you're going to hear about partnerships, some of the best partnerships we learned about from you all in the country with K-12 institutions. Truly remarkable. As well as with adult-serving organizations. Not to wait for adults to come to us, but to put campuses where the students are, right? To go to them. That's key. Colleges, of course, these colleges know access is not enough. Access without completion is a hollow promise, so they work really hard to get students on an early plan, to create clear program plans, and have case management advising and tutoring and all those things that really matter to ensure that not just the students who otherwise might have completed without us can figure out a maze of courses and advising, but actually can make it through. The most important lesson, I think, is that they make mandatory or inevitable the services that students need. They don't leave it to chance. It's about inevitability. Otherwise, the students who are least likely to succeed are not gonna show up. So access, completion, and then finally, these colleges are not satisfied with access and completion. As Pascal mentioned earlier, they're focused on post-graduation success. That means either getting a bachelor's degree and then a good job, or going directly into the world of work. And they're focused not just on any job, but a good job, a job that offers family-sustaining wages, benefits, and a fulfilling career. So that's what it takes to change lives. It's those things that it takes to change lives. Giving students the skills they need to thrive in their lives, to live more fully in their time, and giving the community the skills that it needs, each community the skills that it needs, so that employers have what they need and civic engagement is at a very high level. So I want to thank all of you for doing that work. It is truly a privilege when I am able to come to your colleges or hear from my colleagues who have come to your colleges about what it is that you've accomplished. And we are learning from you in ways that Pascal described that will strengthen the field. So you've not only strengthened the lives of your students and the strength of your communities, but in fact, you are helping other colleges around the country. So thank you for all of that work. Now I'm thrilled to introduce the Aspen Prize co-chairs who will award each of the finalists a trophy. We'll ask the president, and I know some people had asked whether the board chair could come up with the president. That's your prerogative. We'll offer a recognition to each of the 10 finalists and end with the announcement of the winner. So Michael Sorrell is the president of Paul Quinn College. Really, really fascinating story. If you haven't looked up the story of Paul Quinn and what he's accomplished at a college that frankly was about to shut down, to create it as one of the 13 now work colleges in the country, is that right? 10 work colleges in the country, connecting students while they're in school to the world of work. In his tenure, graduation rates have improved 30% and student debt decreased by $30,000 on average. That's pursuing value. Thank you, Michael, for that work. Jane Swift is the former governor of Massachusetts and, in fact, the first female governor of the Commonwealth. She is the founder of Learn Launch, a nonprofit in New England that engages educational practitioners and policy leaders in workshops and conferences to promote high-quality, equitable teaching and learning for all students in the K-12 space, primarily. I just want to thank both Jane and Michael for what I've witnessed during this process. They both have a deep commitment to the capacity of community colleges to change lives and change communities, and have dedicated their time, volunteered their time for helping to improve our entire country by recognizing your work. So join me in welcoming our Aspen Prize co-chairs.
We didn't practice the handshake. Should have practiced the handshake. So, all right. I promise I'm not going to be like the typical politician and go on and on and on. Also, both Michael and I have been on the road for a while, so we promise to stay on script. But this is, well, thank you for thanking us, but this is a huge honor to be part of this ceremony, but also, frankly, to be at any education event that is talking about great accomplishments, about hope. I have 3 daughters. That is not a huge secret. All of them were in college during COVID. And as Josh said, the work that I have done actually throughout my tenure since leaving office, but actually the focus of my time in office, is all about education. And I think it's undeniable the challenges that students in particular, parents, education leaders have faced over these many years. But what I love about community colleges and this prize is it's a no excuses, let's put the needs of students and success at the forefront. Yes, there's legislative complexity, but the importance of providing opportunity, talent development that our states need has been a singular focus that I've seen represented through all of the applications of the 10 finalists that came through loud and clear. And just the necessity of your success that so many of the other speakers have talked about, it just makes being here today such a privilege.
Well, thank you, Governor. I am thrilled to be here for several reasons, but I just want to talk about for a moment why it's so important that we have something like the Aspen Prize and why it's so important that we tell these stories. It's important to tell these stories because there are people out there who grew up the way I did that didn't know these stories. I grew up in Chicago, the product of a very successful family, and went to schools where community colleges were thought to be less than back then, where we had no idea the economic drivers that they were, the importance of fighting intergenerational poverty through attending these institutions. We were just told that that's where you go if you couldn't go anywhere else. The Aspen Prize helps refute those ridiculous ideas, because they are ridiculous. The idea that any institution that serves the number of people that community colleges serve, the engine that they are in those communities, the idea that those institutions would be held up as anything other than stellar is absolutely absurd. And so I want to thank you for what you do. I want to thank you for creating space in your successes to educate stupid people like myself, right, who did not know. But I know now, I understand, and I am so proud to be a part in this small way of telling your stories. When I read through the packets on all the things that these institutions are accomplishing, it was not just inspiring, it was a joy to behold. And so, one last thing, I visited Pascal when she was down in Miami-Dade. And if you don't know this, literally everyone in Miami went to Miami-Dade, right? Like, I've never seen anything like it. There's like 4,000 campuses. Everyone went there, right? It's like nothing I've ever seen. And when you are in the midst of institutions that mean that much to communities, you really understand. And so please keep doing the amazing things you're doing. Please create the opportunities for us to tell these stories and shout them loudly, because I am just humbled to be in your presence. So thank you for what you do, and congratulations.
Thank you, President Sirlein. And I'll just say what I learned from the Aspen Prize, but also what has fueled my commitment for nearly 3 decades now to education and what all of you who are here and the work you're doing represent. So I did not grow up with economic privilege. I grew up in a small blue-collar city that had seen many better days, where the factories were shutting down in the Northeast, and where, frankly, we have this beautiful area, but it is enclosed by mountains, and sometimes it's hard to understand the opportunity beyond those mountains. But we do have public colleges and community colleges, and so those were what expand people's ideas. And my parents didn't understand a lot, but they knew education and hard work were what would change. And I really appreciate Dan talking about the economic engine and how it's being challenged, that education is that economic engine. That was what was spoken about at the dinner table that I grew up, and it was true for me. I will tell you, our dinner table was a picnic table because that was what we could afford with the 4 kids in our house. We did put a tablecloth on it. I believe it was plastic. I hope my mom, I don't think she knows how to stream. She'll be embarrassed to hear that story. It was true. But with that velocity of change that I think about all the time, how do we respond? And you and the things we're about to talk about, the colleges here, you're responding to that velocity of change. And you are meeting the needs of today, of, frankly, the kids and the grandkids of the kids that I went to school with, and the needs they have in rural areas and urban areas across this country. And we have quite a range of schools that we are going to honor.
Jan, I just want to say, are you sure you're a Republican?
I was not going to out myself until the end when they started to like me a little more.
I just want to throw that out there. You were giving me warm and fuzzy feelings there for a moment, right?
So I'm how Republicans used to be. Anyway, I think now's a good time. Am I blushing? Is a good time to celebrate the finalists. What do you think? So our first, of course, that I get, this is my punishment for being a Republican, the hardest to pronounce, but I had all those great students. I am going to announce one of our finalists, which is Ostos Community College. Did I say that right? Names are important. In the South Bronx. And I love this saying, Ostos, as their former president, David Gomez, would say, is a place to go, not a place to end up. It opened its doors in 1970 after Puerto Rican and other Hispanic leaders rallied for their own college in the Bronx. It fights poverty, and it gets results in that fight. As we read through those packets, one of the most dramatic improvements in credentials awarded per full-time student. It went from 35 credentials in 2016 to 55 in 2020. They are removing the barriers that poverty creates so that students can learn. Their transfer rates, this college has worked closely with the City University of New York, Lehman College, to smooth those transfer pathways. I was a little bit upset when I read that bullet, because I'm like, that just sounds so simple. Smooth those transfer pathways. Anybody who's tried to do that, that is not so simple, but they did it. And their continuing education program, they have created a new and better pathways from non-credit programs to credit offerings. Where I come from, we talk about making sure that your money is being spent wisely. My grandmother, who hid money under her mattress, would have appreciated that. So it is my job to pronounce another hard name correctly and to ask and to congratulate to come up Dean Babette Odant, standing in for President Coco DeFilippi, to present their prize. I'm just getting all the logistics correct. Because the picture really is the most important thing. I'm going to have you take your name tag. Take your name tag off before you come up for the picture. They teach you that in governor school. Okay, so another Northeasterner, but it's not all done geographically, just so you know. Another one of our finalists that we want to honor and call out their great successes today is Kingsborough Community College. And we're still in New York, even though I'm a Red Sox fan. There may be people watching from Massachusetts. Set on the far southeastern corner. I know I'm going to get some thumbs down on that. They're set on the far southeastern corner of Brooklyn. Oh no, they all have Yankees hats on. We should have thought this through a little more. It's all right, it's all right. And it's not a good year. Oh. My daughter came home from school, or from daycare when she was 4. This is an aside, they'll love this. And she said, "Mommy, are we Red Sox or Yankees fans?" Yankees. And I said, "We're Red Sox fans." She said, "Oh, phew, because if I was an Yankees fan, I couldn't go back to Donna's." I said, "If you were an Yankees fan, you couldn't come home." Anyway, but this is all an aside, and I said we were going to get through this. Anyway, apparently they have beautiful sunsets, so we can agree on that. But more importantly, they have the highest participation rate in a transformative program called the ASAP program that is throughout the City University of New York system. 1/3 of their students participate in this transformative system. But we should not be surprised at the high participation rates in this transformative system, because this is the college that pioneered learning communities. Do you want to guess how many years ago? You have my notes, but don't look.
I won't cheat, go ahead.
20 years ago, they pioneered learning communities. Also, their improvement in Pell Grant recipient graduation rates, another thing near and dear, I was a Pell Grant recipient. Their Pell Grant recipient graduation rate went from 29 to 36% in 3 years. Again, a statistic that represents real lives. They continue to expand student support, and I saw somebody talked about this, an impressive student, a growing Black male initiative, and also a really strong TRIO program. And in the classroom, Kingsborough has a rigorous approach to using program and course learning outcomes to improve student learning. So despite their baseball affinity, I want to congratulate Kingsborough President Schrader and all the students who are going to like me despite my Red Sox. And her provost. You guys in the middle.
And can we just have a moment to celebrate President Schrader's pants? Listen, I've been in higher ed 16 years. That ain't normal. Okay? It's fantastic. All right. On the other side of the country, we have West Coast finalists, South Puget Sound Community College in Washington State. South Puget Sound serves a variety of communities. They provide training for government employees, staff on Native American reservations. All right. Is he wearing a cape? They have capes in South Puget Sound? All right. All right. Clearly, they have a fashion institute out there too. They provide courses, adult basic education, advising. They do rural outreach, making it possible for disconnected students in the Yelm School District to earn associate's degrees in high school. Their onboarding, they have a mandatory student success course in which the students create a full educational plan. They have holistic student support baked into the culture. Their personal support center is in the middle of their student union, not at an outpost on campus, but right where everyone comes. It offers aid, intel into federal, state, and local public benefits, resources for housing, childcare, and mental health. 56% three-year graduation and transfer rate. You all say that like that's just normal. That's not normal. That's 10 points above the national average. They are doing extraordinary work. So please join me in celebrating Superman, South Puget Sound, a first-time Aspen Prize finalist. Congratulations and welcome, President Stokes.
I almost stole one of your bracelets with that.
Right, we are coming east again now. Broward College, an outstanding finalist serving the beautiful South Florida coast. President Hale is a national leader in educating the underserved parts of his community. Broward Up has served over 3,500 students with free trainings that connect to jobs and further education. More radical decisions that have yielded incredible results, and this is something after my own heart. We just canceled the football program at Paul Quinn College. They canceled all of athletics in Florida. You all are missing the applause line, right? All right. But they did that so they could pour more resources into advising. They went from an advisor-student ratio of 700 students to one advisor to driving that below 300, which is an extraordinary accomplishment and took an enormous amount of courage to do so. Their transfer performance is exemplary as well, with a transfer rate 14 percentage points higher than the national average. Strong transfer outcomes are a result of Broward's strong partnerships with Florida Atlantic and Florida International Universities. Co-branding and even co-location on the same campus makes it clear to students that the bachelor's attainment is absolutely in reach and expected for those of them that are interested in doing so. They're doing wonderful things. I strongly encourage you to visit them when you are down in Florida. So please welcome, and we ask President Hale to come up. Congratulations.
Okay, Michael, you're from Texas. So we're gonna have a little Texas hype here. San Jacinto College serving the metropolis of Houston. So I'm not gonna say anything about the Astros. I've got myself in enough trouble. But this is one of the few colleges in the country that has moved thousands. This is a huge college. Moved thousands of students out of undecided, unstructured programs into high-value transfer pathways. What that means is that students, again, something my noni could appreciate, spending less, getting more. What a great achievement for a student-centered institution. But let's go to some of the numbers. From 2015 to 2019, the 3-year graduation and transfer rate went up by 15 percentage points. Again, slides off the tongue, but hard work to accomplish. San Jac grads are in high demand. Lyondell Basel, I have no idea. But I am just saying the names right of all of the award winners. A global petrochemical firm cites one of their own employees on a San Jac campus so that they can have program alignment with the students who are studying there. They have student support. They have a career pathing program with Lyondell. They also gave $5 million to build a state-of-the-art facility. I'm sure the president can say their name correctly. The college's workforce connections, as you can tell, are extremely strong. And obviously, a job, as I tell my own 3 daughters, is the ultimate goal of higher education. Those connections are bolstered by their chancellor, whose personal investment in meeting regularly with industry advisory councils and leading C-suite executives allows for personal and honest advice about how to meet changing workforce needs. As we heard from Dan earlier, the velocity of change makes that so important and critically necessary, and likely is a key component to how all of those results are being achieved. So we want to congratulate San Jac and ask Chancellor Hellyer to please come up to receive this award. And maybe pronounce Lyondell Basel appropriately for me. Obviously, I am not a Houston person. Lyondell Basel. Okay. trustee.
We don't like Yankees either. We kill them.
We gotta move right to the middle. Do you hear what he said? They don't like the Yankees either. Sorry. Okay, I think we're getting there. Now, last night I made some new friends. It's gonna shock you. But if I didn't already have this one, I was gonna trade for it because these guys love me.
Who doesn't love you, Jane?
Well, there is a long list. But another institution getting students on very strong pathways is Moore Park College, just north of LA. Moore Park was a pioneer in scaling. Woohoo! I don't see any Dodgers hats either. Wow! I have to say, wait till you hear about some of the stuff they're doing. I couldn't believe the way they're managing their institution. So they were a pioneer in scaling co-requisite developmental education reform before California mandated that shift. What a shock that people are ahead of their government and doing innovative and interesting things. That's kind of like I can call my sister ugly, but you can't, and my sister is not ugly. She does know how to stream. And they acted because it saw the research on the effectiveness of the model. Imagine that, following the research and then implementing it. It now boasts the highest completion rates for first-year English and math among all of our finalists, a good indicator that their students will keep their momentum and continue on through graduation. Advising comes from multidisciplinary teams that contact students at 15 and 30 credit hours to make sure they're on track to graduate. Here's the fascinating leadership structure that I loved. Each academic dean also has an operational function. They are putting academics in charge of operations, folks. The operational areas rotate. That reduces siloing and increases connection. I just think that is brilliant. When a dean oversees support for students with disabilities, athletics, kinesiology, library, math, distance education, teaching and learning, and I talked to some of these folks last night, there is no way for them to not have compassion, a deeper understanding of the college, the challenges, the opportunities, and a much deeper understanding of the college, but also, and this is most important if you haven't been able to tell yet for me and for all of us who are here, a genuine investment in student success. Please congratulate another first-time Aspen Prize finalist, Moore Park College, and their president, So Canoe. This way a little bit. Yes, absolutely. Thank you for supporting me.
We're going to bring this back to the Midwest. Southwest Wisconsin Technical College.
Oh!
Did he have on a cape too?
I may have to do a cartwheel.
I just want a cape, right? So, Fenimore, Wisconsin is the smallest hometown of any of the schools that are in this contest. 2,500 people. But what they are showing you is that size does not matter when it comes to achievement. In 2016, their accreditor cited the college for failing to focus on improving teaching and learning. Now, many schools, when faced with some unfavorable accreditation news, they run, they hide. That's not what Southwest Wisconsin Technical College did. They said, we're not going to do just enough to keep the doors open. We're actually going to fix this. The college implemented through a data-driven process that engages every faculty member in improving student learning in every course, every semester. Every faculty member, every course, every semester. That is an incredible commitment to creating change. The results speak for the success of that mindset. They raised their graduation rates, and they are now 16 percentage points higher than the national average, which is an extraordinary accomplishment. And I just, as someone who inherited a troubling accreditation situation, President Wood, I understand how difficult that work is. And I just want to personally commend you and your institution. Where are you, by the way, so I can quit pretending? All right, there we go. I want to commend you all on really having the courage to take that problem on head on and for doing an extraordinary job. So please join me in congratulating Southwest Wisconsin Tech and President Wood. President Wood just destroyed the average height of the college presidents in the prize. Next up, we have another rural star, Northwest Iowa.
Apparently red and orange are the rural colors. Woohoo!
I love the mascots. Is the mascot still going? They had to shut the screen off for the mascot. So whereas Southwest Wisconsin Tech came from the smallest city, Northwest Iowa serves the largest geographic area. The area is akin to the size of West Virginia. Don't pretend like you know how big West Virginia is. All right. The distance, I'm going to get hate mail now from West Virginia, right? The distance from cities to four-year universities has not held back President Hartog and his team from doing everything they can for bringing in more students to learn and to graduate. We literally don't have the ability to list all the ways the college helps their students succeed, but we can say that their commitment and their strategies are extraordinarily effective, especially at identifying and intervening when students are showing a tendency to move off track. Their wraparound services have been extraordinary. The results are a remarkable 74% three-year graduation and transfer rate. 74% graduation and transfer rate. I just feel like I need to just let that sit there for a little bit. 74%. It is absolutely one of the highest in the nation. And they don't just serve who traditionally shows up. The college brings in almost 3,000 11th and 12th graders for career days. They creatively serve a growing African immigrant population. Because I don't know if you know this, there's not that many black people in Northwest Iowa. And they also have a growing Hispanic population. And one of the things that struck me when we were reading the materials were just the comments that the African American and the Hispanic students were making about their experience. There wasn't anyone who talked about feeling isolated. They talked about how they felt a part of the community, which is an extraordinary accomplishment. So for all of that, in serving an incredibly large service area, and then going out and making that area larger to serve people that you know would benefit from your community, we applaud everything that Northwest Iowa is doing, and congratulations, and please join us, President Hartar. All right. Well, Jane, we are down to 2 colleges, and we haven't picked a winner yet. I want to talk about one of them, Imperial Valley College, which sits right between San Diego, where we just came from, and Yuma, Arizona.
It was cold.
Yeah, like, no, really, it was cold.
Yeah.
Along the border of Mexico. Prize jury was amazed by the story of improvement. They nearly doubled the number of credentials per FTE in just 4 years and saw a 12 percentage point increase in graduation rates in just 4 years. They believe in holistic supports for their students, including building tiny houses on campus for homeless students and former foster youth. That's not normal, all right? That is, I remember when we saw that, it just blew me away, that level of commitment. But their academic achievements are even more impressive. The college puts advisors in area high schools to get students into dual enrollment classes and helps them create plans for earning a college degree before graduating from high school. Now the college enrolls 60 to 80% of the area high school students after they graduate, which may actually be the highest rate Aspen and its partners have ever seen. We're talking about a historic accomplishment. But here's what may be the most impressive about the school. The college has revamped its entire scheduling process around the needs of its students, not its faculty, not its staff, its students. And as a college president, I am very impressed by that accomplishment, especially in a state like California. So I think they would absolutely be a worthwhile winner.
Well, we do have that Rising Star category, which I want to talk to you about.
Okay.
Amarillo College, which was an Aspen Prize Rising Star in 2021.
Fair enough.
And they have not stopped rising ever since. So let me tell you what they've done. Graduation and transfer rates doubled since 2010. I have to tell you, I love data. And so when I heard about their thematic loving students to success, I was like, oh, this is going to be a marketing slogan. That's going to be all talk. But then I heard about how they use the personification of a student with the persona of Maria. That's where you started to get me because my middle name is Maria. So, you know that grandmother I keep talking about, her mother's name was Maria. The archetype of Maria, they have integrated throughout everything that they do. And if every other community college in the country wants to use Maria after my great-grandmother, my beast Nona, that would be fine too, but it will not advantage you in future competitions, just so you know. But what they ask themselves is what we're doing going to make it easier for Maria? The result, and I'm told by those who visited, is you can feel it on the campus as well as see it in the results. A child care resource center, a grocery store pantry, a packed tutoring center. But here's some things that folks may not feel, but that our crack research staff and visiting team discovered about Amarillo. Big academic changes. And again, learning is the most important thing we can do for our students. Almost all courses are taught in 8-week sessions. That way students can gain momentum, a change they made after they saw the results of a pilot that showed success. Tutoring is provided, as I already said, in that PAC center, but an incredible scale and at all hours of the day. In almost all courses, if a student scores below 70 on any assignment, they automatically get a referral to mandatory tutoring, and they go. And there are embedded tutors and peer tutors in the critical courses that they know and have identified are going to be a impediment to students on their pathway to that all-important degree. And as I already said, the students aren't bristling at this additional support instructions. On the site visit, this is what one student said. This is a place that taught us how we should treat each other. They know that this is being done in order to help them. I think in today's divisive climate, where division and conflict seem to be what we celebrate every single day, that this is the type of college, data and a warmth and an embrace that should win the prize.
I mean, they're not bad. I mean, you make a compelling case.
And I am debating you, which is hard.
Right. I will give you that. But I got to tell you, I love the way Imperial Valley has opened their arms and just expanded themselves to their entire community. I mean, 60 to 80%. I mean, I know you love data, so I'm coming with a little data of my own. I mean, and it's the fastest improver in the finalist cohort. That's got to mean something.
All right, did you hear me say J-O-B? Right, this is the parent talking here, right? The reason we pay the bucks, which is, by the way, though, on the Imperial College, that changing of the schedule, so that as a parent who pays at many institutions, I do like that. But what they can prove at Amarillo College, a J-O-B at the E-N-D, which I'll give you the data, their students with C-A-S-H, their students earn significantly more than the average for entry-level hires in the region, and that ultimately is why students come to and pay to attend community colleges. So,
Well,
ding,
thank you, MC Governor.
and I can spell.
But I am not swayed. I'm holding firm for IMPERIAL Valley.
I'm not going to embarrass myself. I think people are getting antsy. Nobody's gotten up and gone to the bathroom yet, but I have been walked out on a speech. I've been booed in Fenway, too. So I don't want that to happen.
Well,
and you already said I'm a Republican. I'm going to guess you're not. We could do something.
Notice my blue. Okay.
Notice I'm not wearing red.
Well, wait, let's ask Josh. Is there any reason why we have to pick one?
Is there any reason we couldn't set a good example for folks who are doing business not too far from here and come to a compromise?
So we are going to set an example
For some other people
for some other people
who may do business in this
in this city,
general region.
right? And we're gonna compromise. But this isn't a compromise of quality.
No.
These are two extraordinary candidates that deserve to be celebrated. So instead of picking, why don't we just celebrate them both?
And have two winners?
And have two winners. So, will Amarillo College and President Lowry Hart and Imperial Valley and President Johnson please join us and congratulations.
And you know that means you each get to split $1 million. So I'm bossy. You probably didn't pick that up yet. We'll do each of their pictures separately, and they're each going to speak because we just broke all the rules. So we'll do pictures first.
We're way off.
And then we should do one picture all together. We'll send it to the folks on the. I think let's do one all together, and then we'll send it up to the hill. Show them what we did. And he's got yours. He might not give it to you.
Yeah, we just over here.
Yeah.
Just got everything all off the
Yeah.
rails.
Oh my God.
Hold on 1 second. We're gonna take a group selfie. All right. You all please, each of you are gonna get to speak. No, you guys get to say something.
I'll let my colleague go first. I have some notes. I have things to say.
Wow. Whew. Oh, wow. Wow. For the last, please. President, I have my speech here, but I don't even know if I can read it. First of all, it's with great humility and immense pride to be here before you today to accept this prestigious award. Oh, wow. We are so deeply honored and humbled about this. It recognizes the tireless effort of our faculty, staff, and administrators, past and present, who have dedicated their lives to this work. It is a testament to our vision, our passion, and our commitment to our students and our community. I would like to extend a heartfelt thank you to the Aspen Institute for putting this together, and all the excellent work that you do in advancing education, equity, and social justice, and also contributing to the research so all of us in this room and throughout the nation can learn in some best practices and become even better in what we do. I also want to thank all the finalists here today. I had the chance to meet with many of you last night. I have read some of the things that you all are doing, and all I can do is say I like to consider myself a thief. I plan on stealing all of those ideas and putting it into practice, because we can never stop this great work, and we can only get better because our students deserve it. Imperial Valley has always been a place of excellence, innovation, and learning. And we're committed to providing the best education to our students, nurturing their talents, removing barriers to success, and empowering our students to be responsible leaders of tomorrow. We have been truly blessed with exceptional faculty, staff, administrators who go above and beyond every single day to ensure our students are successful. I want to sincerely thank our wonderful faculty for working with us, working with the administration, academic senate, and all the various governing bodies on campus, and our staff for their commitment to excellence. You are the innovators in the classroom. You are the support outside the classroom. And you are the mentors who inspire our students every day. And you do it through action, not just talk. Then you show that you care about our students. Thank you for all the work that you do. And also I want to thank, a heartfelt thanks for our Board of Trustees, and we have our Board President, Ron Medina, here. For 28 years, he has been on the board and making great decisions on what we do here, as well as all the Board of Trustees who are not here today. Trustee Armendariz, Trustee Hart, Trustee Solis, Trustee Ortega, Trustee Lindbergh, and Trustee Sigmund. We all know without a supportive board, none of this work is possible. So thank you from the bottom of my heart. I want to recognize a few people who are here with me today, our Vice President of Instruction, and Dr. Carboni, as well as our PIO. We wanted to bring the whole team here, but of course, Aspen limited us to only 5 folks. This work is not done just by me. It is really it's all about the faculty, staff. And again, I want to point out to our previous presidents, Dr. Jaime and Dr. Garcia, for all the great work they have done in setting this foundation. Also want to talk about the County of Imperial. We're a small rural community, but we work together as a family, and none of this would be possible. So I want to thank the community leaders, the businesses and organizations, the elected officials, the K-12 school district, Office of Education, university partners, and so many, many more. You are the ones who give our students the opportunity. You are the ones that allow that seamless transition from high school to college, from IVC to the university, from giving our students opportunities as far as job opportunities as well as internship opportunities. You are the ones who are providing those additional wraparound services via health, legal, food and housing insecurities, and so forth. And lastly, my pride and joy, and I'll be truly remiss if I didn't speak about it, the real work of why we do what we do here. I want to thank our amazing students. Our students are just absolutely incredible. Everything we do is for them. Every morning I wake up, I'm waking up thinking about how I can impact our students' lives. Thank you for your talent, your creativity, your commitment to your studies, and overall hard work. And I want to give a big shout out to our associate student government. Because they are the advocates behind the scenes. They are the ones who come in my office and say, Dr. Johnson, you need to do this. Dr. Johnson, you need to do that. And then we make sure we put that into practice. So thank you so much. Your advocacy is unparalleled. And in closing, this award is not just a recognition of our past achievements, but is a call to action for us to continue to strive for excellence, to be innovative, and to make a positive impact on our community. And it motivates us to double down on our efforts to meet the challenges of the future, to provide our students with the knowledge, skills, and values in this ever-changing world. So We aim to continue to work with you all and to be the best we possibly can be. Thank you so much.
Podium for you. There you go.
Congratulations to our colleagues at Imperial Valley. You have inspired us with your own story of transformation, and we're honored to share this space with you all, as we are with everyone in the top 10 and the top 25 and the top 150. There are exceptional colleges across this country, and this prize is a celebration of that excellence. So even if you're watching in your office or your classroom, you're seeing community colleges are transformative, and thank you for what you do. I interviewed for this job in July of 2014, and I stood in front of my community asking for their belief. And my board chair, Annette, showed a picture last night of that community forum where I had behind me, the final slide was Aspen by 2020, because as Jeannie said earlier in this ceremony, Aspen is the clarion call. It's the unifier. It is the glue that calls all of us to be better than we are. And we didn't make it by 2020, but we weren't far off. And I think the point wasn't to actually win the prize. It was the process that Aspen calls you to, of continual improvement, of courageous conversations, of seeing your students and your community for who they are, not who you thought they were or wished they were. And now that work that we do across the country that is so profound and hopeful is challenged in ways that none of us could have expected, where our work is not political, it is personal, and people want to politicize the work that we're doing. They want us to choose red or blue, black or white, Christian or not, straight or gay, Gen Z or boomer, patriotism my way or you're not patriotic at all. Our power collectively is that we love everybody, that we accept and build pathways for everyone from every walk of life with every goal. We include everyone. We are the definition of inclusion because everyone is invited to the table. Now, the politics will shift and they'll wane, but our focus is Maria. Our focus is on our students and our communities, and that focus can never be political. Our power is in the personal, the things that we do every day to help our students. That doesn't mean ignoring the deep fissures within our communities. Economic and racial inequalities exist. Bigotry and hate are blooming. Yet politics won't solve these divides. You will. We will. Community colleges are uniquely situated to glue our communities together. And through us, our communities can learn to talk and listen about the things that divide us, that scare us, that create anxiety within us around issues of race and gendered and economic injustice. We can glue our communities together because that's what we do every day in our classrooms, in our tutoring centers, in our advocacy and resource centers, in our teaching and learning centers. The solutions don't lie in the political. The solutions do not lie in the political. They can only be found in the personal, the relational, the love that can hold us together, the love that we hold for and with each other. So let's let the politicians do what the politicians do. Let's stay rooted in our work. Education is the solution to the most of the challenges that are tearing our communities apart. That work takes real intentionality. Sometimes it takes required tutoring. It takes real systems of support and learning. We don't feel our way to unity. Love takes action, commitment, structure. Love times learning equals success. I look around this room and I know people watching. I see so many mentors and inspiring colleagues in this room and in this sector who've made room for my questions and my uncertainties. My Aspenites, you're the foundation of changing higher education. You all gave my college hope. And to my colleagues that are watching at home in Amarillo, you give me hope. Thank you for your commitment to Maria and your commitment to loving each other to success. You deserve this recognition and celebrate it. Leadership requires courage, and our regents are so courageous. I want to thank my partner, Annette, for your courage over the past 25 years. And to Jay, our vice chair, Michelle, Sally, David, John, Johnny, Paul, Peggy, Kathy, Sarah, thank you for supporting this incredible journey of reimagination. You have made AC great. And to my colleagues on the leadership team, y'all, they put up with so much from me. You are magic. And you're magic because you always understood the personal was more important than the political. Friends, we don't have to choose sides. We just have to choose love. And on behalf of my community of Amarillo and the entire Texas Panhandle, thank you for this recognition. We will use it as a springboard for greater improvement. We are certainly not a perfect college, but today, at this moment, we are a proud one. Thank you.
Just do a quick.
I'm getting our team up here.
Can we get our team? Yeah, let me do this quick. Okay. All right. You guys step over.
Come on.
Sorry, Josh, I just took over the whole program there. Yeah. All right, we're doing one more set of pictures with their whole team. All right. Nice. Oh my gosh, you're so welcome. All right, we're gonna have to do 2 rows, I think, kind of. All right, everybody's in blue. Thank you. Congrats. You are very welcome. And then we're gonna bring them. No, just it's their team, and then we do one more with this Imperial team, and then they're gonna throw me off the stage. So you can stand right in the middle, front here. You're gonna have to go in front.
So we just realized you all don't have to sit and watch the Love Fest unless you want to. Let's just give everyone another round of applause. We'd like to invite all of the presidents to please meet us at the foot of the stage. We'd like to take a couple of photos with you. You're certainly welcome to hang around with us, but we just want to thank you all for all the extraordinary work you do, and we look forward to seeing you in the next 2 years. Thank you.
Congratulations. You're very welcome. Congrats. You're so welcome.
Here we go. Testing 1, 2.